Episode 234.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
Okay, so this is another one of those age-old questions. Should you buy ads for your music? This topic concerns DIY rock stars like us.
Yes.
And not only was it inspired by an episode of Creative Juice podcast, I'll put their link below, but also some of our fellow creators like Brian Hazard, like Tom Ray, and also, of course, our artist mentoring program have touted the benefits of ads.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I guess the question is, why wouldn't you buy ads for your music?
Well, I mean, people have cited, and then I mean, even for us when we first
go ahead. Yeah.
Artist mentoring, that we were thinking that since we create so much content, that I guess one of our assumptions was because we weren't getting a deluge of people engaging, that maybe what we were doing was not working.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm just saying that why wouldn't you do ads for your music? I mean, it's sort of like if you got a bunch of Hershey bars or you got a bunch of cars, how do people know that you have a bunch of Hershey bars or cars?
Okay. All right, so maybe that kind of goes into point number one, that you're assuming, though, because just like with us, we had a bunch and we call ourselves distributing over our 35 social media platforms on a regular basis content, that we thought that somehow or another that would draw people.
Because it's sort of like this. So let's just say we got music. We take the music, we put it in a house in every single state in the United States of America. So every single there's a house, it's got CDs in it, it's got albums in it, it's got this in it, it's all across that. So now we're in every single state.
Right.
So the question is, how do people know that where those CDs are within their state? How do they know how to get them?
Okay, good. So that's the first point that they made. Is that if all you're doing is organic, no matter how hard you work, you're missing some at bats.
That's the biggest the biggest issue, and this is you hear it every time when even people who are on major labels, right? They'll say, hey, I did one record, right? It was successful. I did a second record, it wasn't successful. And usually when they talk about the record not being successful, it's not because what was on that second record was worse than what was on the successful record. It's usually because they say the record company didn't promote it.
And when they say didn't promote, they mean didn't do things like ads.
Didn't do things to tell people, hey, this record is available, this is what this record sounds like. Those are the things that they didn't do. You know, I remember when I was a kid, the way I found out about Steely Dan's Asia is I heard a commercial.
Really?
About Steely Dan's Asia. And they played Peg. And so I heard Peg on a television commercial.
I didn't know that.
So hearing Peg on a television commercial made me say, I like this. And I like this. Whoever this band is, this person is, Steely Dan. I like Steely Dan's music. This guy's all right. That's what I thought in my head. I didn't know really it was a band. I just knew Asia and Steely Dan and Peg. And that song, that's what did it for me. That's how I found, and that's the way I would find out about different things. Whether it was, I really discovered the Beatles through the Beatles cartoon. So that's how I kind of discovered these people. So again, it's sort of like, I think that sometimes people look at ads and music as kind of like, oh, that's you're not being authentic.
Well,
you're not being a true artist.
That's one of the things that they mentioned is that people assume that if the music is good, back to that whole thing. If the music is good, then it'll just catch on, and that's just the way it is.
We discussed this before, and that is Nothing Compares to You. Nothing Compares to You is a song that's written by Prince that everybody knows because it was a hit with Sinead O'Connor. And it was a hit because it got promoted.
Right.
And you saw the video, you know, the start video of Sinead O'Connor singing this song.
Yes.
Right? That song appeared on another album that was released by the family.
The family, yes.
The song "Nothing Compares to You."
Long before Sinead O'Connor.
It wasn't released as a single, or anything like that. It was just on that album.
Right.
It was one of the many songs that was on that album. And as far as I knew, it was gonna languish there forever. And it was not. No one was talking about it being a great song.
No, I mean I liked it, but it wasn't. It wasn't all that.
But I'm just saying, you didn't hear people going around clamoring and it just organically finding this great song on their own. Same thing with "I Feel For You." It was on Prince's second album.
Yes, it was.
Right? It became this huge hit when Shaka Khan re-recorded it. Mitch Ryder did "When You Were Mine" by Prince. And that was on a Prince album. Nobody knew about it when it was on the Dirty Mind album. But all of a sudden with Mitch Ryder. But this is all going to the point that I don't care how great the song is. And there's countless songs, you know, that we associate with our artist X. And it, like Saving All My Love For You. That was not originally done by Whitney Houston. You know, that I don't know if it was Phyllis Hyman. I'm not quite sure who did it before that. There was another artist who did it before she did it. You know, I mean, "I Will Always Love You."
Yes.
You know,
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton did it. And it was a hit with Dolly Parton too. But I'm saying it went to a whole different level with.
And it probably connected with the movie and, you know,
all this other promotion that went into it. So to feel like that this stuff just organically happened. The Beatles were a great band, you know, before they got their record deal. But they got tons of people turned them down, and we didn't know about them until they got that record deal. You know, that's when everybody knew about them. That's when they got promoted. I don't care who it is. You know, it's Jimi Hendrix. Whatever. They took him over to Paris. They took him over, not Paris. They took him over to England. Right? You know, he was a smash over there. He got the endorsements from other rock stars.
That's right.
You know, whether it's Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, and all the rest of that from the English royalty and rock music. So that now when he came back to America, it was okay to like this black guy doing rock and roll. Right? And that's all a part of promotional element. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the music wasn't great. It was great. But that doesn't mean a hill of beans if nobody knows about it.
It's a tree falling to the forest.
Right. Yeah, it did fall. That's true. It did fall. But nobody gives a shit.
All right. So now that you've blown open number one, all right, number two. Another reason to run ads for your music is that what we found is your goal is to continually draw fans in. And it is a lot of work, you know, and we are a testament to that. It's a lot of work to actually constantly create content. And so the amount of content that you have to create to even try to be seen by people is quite a bit. However, with ads, you kind of set them up. You almost fix them and forget them, and then you can go back and tweak them to make them better or change, or to change, you know, whether or not they resonate with folks. But at least every single day, and I know I've said this before, every single day when we check in, we see that there are people liking, sharing, commenting, and joining our email list and joining our Facebook group. All of those only because we have an ad that constantly runs.
And that's
we have a set of ads that
but kind of going back to the content thing is that you're right. You do constantly produce content, but then you have to get content ad ready. You know, so you have to do other things with your content. So, you know, I mean, I'm seeing that even with our son, that he's in that situation where, he's producing a lot of content, but now the other part is connecting with individuals who will be attracted to his page. And to me, that's the hardest part for artists, especially. The content might be the easy part for you. You know, you may be all kinds of stuff, right? You know, and that's where it's tough for the DIY rock star, is that now you have to wear that hat that, you know, for rock stars is supposed to be the hat of Satan, which is the corporate hat.
The business hat.
It's the business hat.
You're a business owner.
It's the music business.
Yes.
You know, it really is. You know, and I'm just saying that business component is, I hate to say it, it's more important than the music part.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, because
when it comes to building your empire out, when it comes to getting people to you, when it comes to trying to make a little bit of money off your music, and I'm not saying blowing up rich and famous, but just in order to pay some of the bills that the music makes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that thought that, you know, things are just going to organically happen because you have great material or whatever else, I just think it's a misnomer. Or it's one of those type of things. You got to work it from that business perspective.
And I know one of the other points that the Creative Juice podcast made that people object to the ads is they say, oh, I don't have any money. And a couple things. They said, one, think about all the time and effort it takes to actually create. If you're a person, and he was talking about a band sat and made 60 videos over a weekend so that they could have content on, I forgot how many platforms, for like 2 weeks period of time. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, look at all the hours and time that you spend doing that. Time is money. Yeah. And then the other part of it is, again, the ads constantly bring people to you. So even when you know, you've done all that, you get it out there, and YouTube or whoever else shows your 10% of the followers your video, because again, they don't distribute it to every single person that's a follower.
Or sometimes you have to make that sacrifice. So just like sometimes you might have to make a sacrifice to get your stuff mastered, mixed, whatever it is. And nowadays I do understand that mastering, mixing, recording, you know, you don't have that big outlay of investment that you used to have. And again, that means, now that means you could put more of that money that you would have spent on studio, on mastering, on mixing, on these other things that you don't need to spend money on, and put that into promotion. Yeah. So it's like, but you have to prioritize promotion as that it's just as an important or more of an important of a tool as your laptop, as your guitar, as your drum set, as any of that. Because again, you know, that tree falling in the forest, somebody needs to know about it. And the promotion is what's going to let people know about it.
Yeah, and then one of the other things they mention is people say, well, why don't I just dump, you know, $1,000 into it, and you know, so I can blow up viral. Right. And actually, one of the points they make is you want to have ads coming over time, because as we have found out over time is that you build your brand and your reputation, your logo and things like that. After a while, when you come to a city, if you keep buying ads for that city, you know, if you ever tour, if you decide you want to do other things in that city, actually people know who you are. And they said that that's one of those type of things that it's kind of hard to quantify that, but if you look over a 2 or 3 years period of time, if you're continually doing that, then it means more than if you just dump money into it one weekend. People might have liked it, they might have shared it, they might have whatever, but then after that weekend, they're done with you. You know, they don't, hey, that was a year ago, you know, versus there's constantly people in that area if you're buying ads targeted to those areas. So,
that's true.
So that was another thing that, you know, people say, well, about ads, that why don't I just take the shortcut and not have to do all the other stuff? Because over time you do have to tweak them, and that's where we're kind of at that point now.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, you got to tweak them. You might want to, you know, specialize in one market versus another. Yeah. I mean, again, it's a thought process that from, you know, a musician standpoint, it's the part that you never really heard about. Yeah. You know, you hear about your favorite artists, you see them out there, but it was the suits that were doing all these other things as far as promotion goes. These things that happen, you know, that the promotional campaigns that hit you as a fan. Right. You know, that you know about your artist.
I was about to say the cross endorsements, the playlist, the being played on the radio, the you know, the fact that Meg Thee Stallion has a hot sauce or whatever it is, you know.
Just getting in the stores when it got in the stores. The fact that the stores had all of this promotional material.
Right, that they have a certain placement where they can put you on the shelf. I mean, it's just all
that
stuff
that you hear about this new record when it comes out.
Yeah, it's on sale, so you come buy it, but that that takes work. That's not something that just happens.
It just doesn't happen organically. They're not doing favors for these, major labels.
No.
And don't get me wrong, I do understand that, especially once you get a name, that, you get to a point where, of course, the fact that you're putting something out means something, right? But before you get that name, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So it's like going back to the tree falling in the forest, is that if all of a sudden, CNN and all the rest of these news outlets start covering this story about this tree falling in the forest, you'll be saying, what's so special about that tree? Right? They fall all the time.
Yeah.
Why is this so important?
Right.
And that's the deal with your promotion. Because we talk about the deluge of, songs that are being released by all these different artists, all of that kind of thing, is that your promotion is meant to say to the people who, would likely like your music, to say, hey, this one is something you should pay attention to.
This is what makes us different.
Right.
This is the time to tell
all
your
these
story.
trees are falling in the forest.
Yes.
This is what made this particular tree falling special for you.
Yeah, so. I like that. All right, another couple of points that they made. One is that, of course, ads alone is not the secret, because they say it's not, that their episode is organic traffic versus paid traffic, which means ads versus just sharing on social media.
Yeah.
Their thing is, it's not, ads alone won't do it. That it will draw people to you, but of course they need to come to your whatever your social media platform is, and they need to see activity.
It's part of the mix.
Yeah, it's part of the mix. And then the other thing is, you also need to nurture the people who you bring in. So it's not enough just to bring them in, but you need to be doing other things like, the post with them, engaging with them, maybe some live streams, maybe for us the email newsletter, just things where you say, hey, remember me, and hey, you're cool, and so that also creates the total brand. Those are the things that will bring people in, will keep people in, and then it will. That's kind of what you look for.
Yeah.
As a DIY rock star, building your own thing, which in the past you expected major label, whoever else, to kind of do that for you.
Yeah.
Ads will help lighten the load, and especially they were saying new band. If you're a new band, instead of you do the social media thing, but in order to get people to you quickly, and we noticed that when we ran ads that were not targeted in the way that we're talking about, we got people to us, but we didn't have a way to figure out to send them like anywhere else, to to discern which songs resonated with them more. Whereas now they have 3 different playlists they get to choose from. Is it going to be the more quiet material? Is it going to be the more funk material? Is it going to be the other kind of middle of the road material? And so they get to choose the playlist. So that kind of gives us more information. And that was kind of the point they made in the episode, that ads is kind of the hack. The closest thing to a hack.
Because sometimes just your social media post, at least what I found is that it's a little fickle. You just never know, how it's gonna play out. You might post something, certain things might actually get seen by certain people, certain things might not.
But then there's not as often a call to action with the social media, whereas with
you don't
this
have
funnel,
as much control.
And
I get it with these social media outlets. It makes sense because they are trying to entice you to buy ads. So the fact that, just trying to do something organically on social media is kind of like a hit or miss situation, whereas with the ads, you get to control it, you get to, really hone in where you want to go with it, but you got to pay for it.
And that's on all the different...
It's giving you the incentive to do that.
People are now doing TikTok ads, and they're saying that those are they're still in the wild, wild west with that, that you select certain things and it still sends them wherever. But they're still, they're sending more out than Facebook and Spotify and YouTube. So there are all kinds of places where you can buy ads, and we even did one on Twitter, and that seemed like a complete waste of money. But again, just trying different places to see if you can draw people into what you're doing.
But then you have to know a lot about the way that the platform works and the way that ads work within the platform. So
and they have some other goals to, again, for us, it was the funnel. So the ad was just the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
And then we brought them in, and then now there's all these other places for them to go.
Right.
So that's why we needed the artist mentoring. So if you missed that episode, make sure you check out the link below. And so that is it. But what do you guys think? Have you ever run ads to your music? Do you think that it's sacrilege to run ads? Some people just feel like, if it's great, that if it's meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
And if that's you, we'd love to hear your side of it. Yeah. Leave it in the comments below.
And I am, again,
a little biased now.
Yeah.
At first, we were skeptical too.
No, and I'm not saying that. As far as how the ads might run, but I just think that as far as something being great, I just don't think that great stuff
always rises to the top.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah. I think some things just gets lost.
Yeah.
So I think I saw that with Terrence Trent D'Arby and some of these other people who are out there who've done some great stuff
that it feels like fell in the forest.
It just really got slept on, but it was really good stuff, So just one artist by the name of Silas had a great album to me. I thought it was really a spectacular album, but I don't think people knew about it.
Yeah.
So again, I can't.
And it became discouraging, I guess. Yeah. And it seemed like that he's no longer releasing music.
Right, because of that.
Yeah.
So again, it's sort of like, I think there are a lot of great things that are out there that, never rises to the top. So,
and you want to stay buoyant. You want to stay motivated. I guess that is kind of one of the prime objectives of what we do is try to keep you guys motivated, because we're motivating ourselves. The things that we're doing help motivate us, and so we're just sharing it with you. Yeah. What else?
So we do got Sugar Fit. It's out there, and I'll just kind of let you know there might be another single, not from Sugar Fit, but another single dropping soon. So anyway, but for Sugar Fit, stream it everywhere.
Yep.
Go to Bandcamp. You can go to CD Baby if you want to get the actual
CD. And we have ringtones. That's right. So any of the 15 songs on Sugar Fit have their own personal ringtone. If you want your phone to have that very special ring, make sure you click the link below, and if you dig the vibe and you want to be a part of the tribe, be sure to
subscribe.
We're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.